Hello, everyone. We are live today on Friday, February 13th, 2026. It is Friday the 13th. Hopefully nothing blows up and breaks. Daryl's even going to show some stuff, like demo some stuff on a Friday the 13th. So this will be fun. This is episode number 163. You can see it on the bottom of the screen there. You want to check out related links from the episode or the recording from this. That'll all be located right on the screen at augforums.com/episode 163. Also, as a reminder, if there's anyone attending live, looks like there are a few people, you can drop a comment and we can respond to that in real time as we're doing this live broadcast. But hey, Daryl, thanks for coming on doing this. I'm looking forward to it.
For sure.
And so I don't remember where I saw it. It was probably a LinkedIn post or something that you mentioned you were both playing around with it and even kind of enhancing the calendar board. And so I think you've got it broken down into 3 parts for today, where we'll give you'll give an overview of what the calendar board is in Acumatica. Kind of talk about that. You'll talk about the engine that's behind it, and then you're going to talk about some cool stuff that you're working on to enhance it. And I guess we got your biggest fan is on here, so that's awesome. I think right in your neck of the woods there in the southeastern part of Pennsylvania, right?
Yes,
so that's cool.
yes.
And also, before we launch into it, I want to ask you. So you put a post on LinkedIn, something about helping me from falling asleep. So I wasn't sure, like, does that mean I'm normally sleepy on these? I was trying to understand that one. I didn't get it.
No, I don't honestly watch these. I struggle a little bit sometimes with LinkedIn and how people present things, and a lot of people just take themselves way too seriously. And so I tried to bring a little bit of a
good. Yeah, I like it.
to LinkedIn.
That's how I took it.
So it was kind of a shot at developers being really boring, you know. So I was just trying to keep it light and fun.
Well, I definitely won't be falling asleep. This developer stuff, even though I don't write code, I don't open Visual Studio, it's always super interesting to me, especially when I have someone to engage with. And so I know I'm super looking forward to it. So yeah, I guess do you want to give any background info on this before we kind of talk about the calendar board itself? Like what got you into it or anything like that?
Yeah, I can. I was just reloading my site. I stepped away for lunch and it's taking a really, really long time to come back. So I'm just going to
let's talk
for a little bit.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, like, with the modern UI with Acumatica, we're now going to see all this cool stuff that we've been waiting for years. And there's a number of things, but this is one of those things. And what made you kind of reach out and latch onto this one as being something you wanted to dive into?
Yeah, so the modern UI is very very different, but it has a lot of potential. And so let me explain that. The modern UI uses NPM. I don't even know what that stands for, to be honest. Some kind of package manager. And basically, you can think of it there's like basically a lot of content that people create, a lot of stuff that people design, develop, and you can make it available on an NPM repo, I believe, and then other people can choose to use the stuff that you make available in their own projects. So obviously there are limitations to that, or there are reasons why you might not want to do that, because if your project depends on something that somebody else has built and they significantly change it, or they just stop developing it, then you have to come up with a way to solve that problem. But that's pretty common in software. So the modern UI basically allows you to design and develop things based on other people's stuff in a pretty easy way. So Acumatica has um, has dependencies, npm dependencies that they have built into their screens. The one caveat to that is that Acumatica controls what dependencies you are allowed to use. And the way that they do that is every time a customization publishes in the modern UI, it pulls in the dependencies again that they allow. And if something you're depending on is not on that list, it's basically getting overwritten. So locally, I could do all kinds of really cool things because I can control what packages come locally onto my system. But if I was to publish that in SaaS, if it was a repo that was not trusted or on Acumatica's whitelist, it just wouldn't work. Is basically the thing. So they control what kinds of things you can, what other kinds of packages you can depend on. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, and npm is the thing that manages that. I put that up on the screen, the website for that.
It's like a, I don't know, self-service store or something where you can say,
Yeah.
use this, and sometimes you have to pay for stuff, you have to license stuff in order to use it. So that is largely a lot of the power behind the modern UI. I think there is also a lot of other cool things that the modern UI that they've kind of built into the modern UI, but that's one of the coolest things, is that you can basically say, well, instead of rolling my own, instead of building all of this stuff by myself, I'm going to pull in packages from that somebody else has developed. I think there was some ability to do that in the old UI, but it seems a lot easier in this situation. So
Yes. Then what made you? And it sounds like you pull in stuff built by someone else, but it's things that are blessed by Acumatica because they control the list of what that stuff is. And so, with all that stuff out there, what made you reach for the calendar board specifically? Was it more a geeky technical interest in it, or was it more a functional, hey, I can see this being something in the real world that people are going to care about?
It started because I had, and because I have a fairly wide network of people that ask me about things, or ask me for things. There was a couple of interactions I had with the calendar board. Someone wanted me to figure out how customizable it is, and so I spent a little time digging into it and realized, wow, this is a pretty complicated screen. And then somebody else was like, hey, our customer wants, would love to be able to schedule sales orders, like do deliveries on their local fleet in a way like the calendar board does, but it doesn't really make sense for them to use field service. Like, have you done anything with it? Is that even possible? And I was like, well, I looked at it a little bit like a week ago, and I would love to try. I would love to give it a shot. And so
Awesome.
yeah, they went ahead.
That's the answer I was hoping to hear. I wasn't sure, but I was hoping it was a real world functional. And that's, same for me. Like when I first saw it, I'm like, there's definitely other ways this could be used. So this is cool. I like this.
Yeah. So I kind of went down the rabbit hole with them. And after messing around with it for a while, I realized, there's a great use case for lots of people to schedule things. Like that's not a unique situation. And so it would be cool if more people could use this kind of functionality than just field service. Like, I don't know what all the situations might be, but surely other people would like to be able to schedule things that don't have any need for field service, or so that's kind of where it came out of. And I've been learning some. I don't know the most about field service, so I've been learning some about how it works how Acumatica's version works just by messing around it and things.
Can you pull it up? I think you got your screen. Oh, actually, you already have it on. Let me
yeah, it finally loaded.
let me show it on the screen there just to give a visual. Like so when we talk about the column board, this is sort of the launch point for getting into it. Can you zoom in a little? Maybe do a Control plus one time. I know there's a lot on that screen. Maybe one more if you can. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, so this is the screen that you're talking about, right? And this is it's got a screen code starting with FS. So it's in the field service module, which is not a super popular module, but this is where they first introduced this tech into Acumatica. So yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so the premise of the screen, well, it's a remake of apparently an older screen that I had no experience with at all. So I saw it once or twice. This is remarkably better. If you haven't seen it, just trust me. But basically, it's a fairly
I will
sophisticated...
echo that sentiment. Yeah, I'm completely with you. Yeah, the older version was it was way better.
it was very blocky and ugly. So basically, it's a sophisticated visual scheduling screen for scheduling and managing service orders and appointments. Basically, you're scheduling appointments. You can have service orders that have multiple appointments. I don't know that I have any in the list, but they actually stack up underneath. So you can have multiple appointments, and you can either drag them as one and schedule multiple things at one time, or you can drag them individually and schedule them out over different people. So drag and drop functionality. These are obviously the staff that you have available. You can do multiple staff. The other thing is that clicking on one of these tiles brings up this nice visual. And then down here at the bottom, you can actually see the staff that are assigned to it.
So you got like a first column of objects, records, something. Then you've got a grid. Within the grid, you have the staff. Actually, I missed how you showed the staff. Were they there originally, or did you click on something?
Here?
Yeah.
They just show up there.
Okay.
That's
like,
basically
almost like a dashboard
resource.
with two things, like the dashboard with the thing on the left, and then the grid on the right, and the staff included as part of that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just reloading this. I'm not quite sure why. This event has multiple staff, and when an event has multiple staff, it's supposed to show a little icon up in the corner that is a multi-staff indicator. It does have some bugs. I'm going to be honest. It has some bugs.
Oh, expected.
But,
it's a new thing. Yeah.
It's very new. It hasn't been tested a lot, I don't think.
Can you pull up what version you're on? Like pull up the about window just so we have that captured.
Yeah, it's actually the 26R1 beta. I wanted to see if they had fixed a couple of the things that were broken in 25R2. So I just started using it in here. Yeah, so the multi-staff thing was something I wanted to highlight. You can have multiple staff on the same one, this is a multi-staff appointment. It doesn't really indicate it very well. The other thing that you can do is if you have, and I just learned about this yesterday or today actually, if you have multiple staff, come now. If you have an appointment, I don't know if I'll be able to show it or not. If you have an appointment, there we go, and you want to add another staff member to it, you can actually drag a staff member that's not assigned to it over top. And nice. I was having some bugs with this earlier too, and then it did start working. Okay, there we go. So you can create it as a multi-staff appointment that way, and then you can see the staff down here, which is pretty cool. If you highlight a multi-staff appointment, it actually groups the staff in a row so that you can see who else assigned to it. Not sure if I like that or not. that's how they chose to implement it. Let's see. Okay, so this this gray area with the dots, this is actually a visual indicator of the staff schedule. So field service has a pretty complicated scheduling I don't know, mechanism. So you can assign what calendar an employee will use by default, and then you can go to a screen where you generate your staff schedules, and it basically like blocks out the times that they're supposed to work, and then this screen is supposed to display them appropriately. Again, I think there are some bugs. Maybe I just have something misconfigured, because I think this guy was supposed to work like 6 to 9. No, it would be 9 to 6. I forget.
Oh, so
Anyway,
the white space means they're available. The gray space means
right,
they're not available. Okay.
right. You can still schedule stuff on the gray space, which again, I don't completely understand all of the stuff that they you know have designed.
Yeah, there might be a way to turn that off, so you can't do that. Yeah, we don't know all the.
Yeah, I'm not
and I
sure.
like your point too. Like you're not presenting this as an expert. You're presenting this as someone who's probably ahead of the vast majority of people, right? So you're just sort of leading us on a trek through the forest here. But at least you're like, hey, I've been on this ground. Watch out for that hole or something like that.
Yeah. So there are a few things that I discovered just very recently as a result of actually comparing what they. There's two ways that I know this. There's the backend code that I've read and summarized and whatnot, and understand what's possible on the back end, and then there's the front end, which is like, oh, this is how they did that. I didn't actually realize that. So there's probably large gaps in my understanding as well. But okay, the other thing that they have is this map on the side. Pretty cool at face value. I don't actually know how real world useful it is, but basically you can select. It actually does a lot when you click on one. You can select a particular tile to plot it on the map, and then actually, I should have.
Oh, Smoker Dorsale says it will give you a warning. I assume you mean on scheduling in the gray area. Is that what you found to be the case, Daryl?
It's not, but I believe that would make sense. Maybe I just
there's a setting
that you toggle on or something.
Yeah, and please, drop more questions like that as we're kind of tinkering and learning together here.
Yeah. So if you have multiple appointments in an order, on any particular resource, because they're chronological, the system knows that I'm going to make this stop first and then this stop second, and so it can actually plot a route for you.
Well, that's cool. Where you flip those around, will we see the 1 and the 2 reverse on the right there?
Say that again.
Like if you move one of those appointments to the other side of the other one, will we see the number 1 and the number 2 reverse? Because instead of first stop, second stop. I'm just curious. 1, 2. It still shows 1 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I'm curious. We can get 2 on the top, 1 on the bottom. If not, we don't have to do tangent too much.
Yeah. Oh. Is that how it was? Wait, did it?
Does it make sense? Because on the map, it's going like from the upper right to the lower left.
Yeah.
Stop 1, stop 2. But if you were to drag the appointment to the left of it, let's see if it flips it. Ah, there it is.
There
cool.
Okay.
Nice.
I think maybe the first time it didn't actually stick where I had placed it. Anyway.
Cool. So real-time map there, yeah.
Yeah, the other cool thing, which I've not done anything with because it would be really difficult, is apparently the employees that are on, like this employee, if they have the Acumatica mobile app with GPS turned on, you can actually see them fulfilling their route.
That's cool.
Not quite in real time, I don't think. There's a setting that you can indicate how often it refreshes or whatever. But basically, you can see, oh, they're partway between stop 1 and stop 2, or
That's
whatever.
really cool.
It's definitely not a route planner, I don't think. Like somebody asked, well, if this route is busy, is it going to find me a better route or something? And I don't actually know that much about it, but I'm pretty entirely certain that's not the case. I think it's basically like a visual indicator of here's the routes, here's the general, direction you want to go. Again, I don't know if they stop at McDonald's, like out here somewhere, like what does the map show? I don't know. I don't know this stuff, but it's a cool idea regardless.
You know what that is? Is it Azure or Google or?
This is Azure Maps. Yeah.
Okay.
There are the other cool thing is in the they actually changed the name. In this UI configuration, it used to be called screen configuration. You can customize how you see this screen. So like things like this you've seen before, where you can like show or hide tabs, which in this case doesn't really make a lot of sense. But these things down here, you can actually use to customize the little bricks here, the tiles. So you can actually array stuff on both sides. So the left.
Oh, that's cool.
The left stuff shows up aligned to the left, and then the right side shows up aligned to the right. So this is just the default stuff. But I could add, let's see, where's the service order? Why am I not seeing the service order?
So order number, like the second one down, is INST
okay, here
45, then customer name.
This is what I wanted. So like I could put the city, let's say. I could put the city above the description for whatever reason I wanted to do that. And then
right there in real time.
Brooklyn, New York. Yeah. And then if I wanted to on the right side, apparently, okay, they don't have a lot on the right side. But I could add I don't know. Is there a date?
Date, maybe?
There's a date. Yeah. Let's add the date on the right side.
Oh,
so then it's showing up here. So it kind of depends how compact you have the display as to what you see, but it does pretty well.
Yeah.
And then
I think this is the point. So I remember when Mik C demoed this either last year or the year before, and I think this was the point where I started to think, oh, this is not just a field service screen. This is almost like a dashboard that's not just reading, but allowing you to edit data like you've done, dragging stuff around. When I started to see stuff like this, where you have a lot of control over this. And I talked to him afterwards. He's like, yeah, that's exactly the intention. That's really cool.
Yeah, you do. It's all like that part of it, the configurable tiles and stuff, that's all like built into the modern UI. So it's not excuse me. I'm on the phone. I need you to stay out now. Okay.
Do they want to say hi? Is that a kid who wants to say hi on screen?
Say hi.
Hi.
Hello there. Thanks for joining us.
He can't hear you.
Okay.
But he did wave.
Yeah, he did. So yes, I will. He's in the habit of coming up and getting me to start stories for him downstairs. It's the work from home life.
So super configurable. But you're saying you just find, with the modern UI in general on a data entry screen, no matter where you're at, you have a lot more personal control over how things display, right?
Yeah. So yes, you can. So I believe, and I haven't actually tried this, but this is the way that the rest of Acumatica works. You can actually allow users to load their own configurations. So say I would like to see the tiles this way, but you're like, well,
Yeah.
that's dumb. I want to
Yeah.
see, and so when you actually apply this stuff, you can either overwrite people's personal
Right.
configurations or you can preserve them. And
Right.
so I know that there was some community questions. Excuse me a minute while I close my door. There was some community questions about allowing users to configure or like use that configurator without being an admin, or something in that regard. So maybe there's some things there that they need to work out yet. But yeah, there's a lot that can be done, and
I think it's very similar to what people have now in the classic UI, where if you can arrange your own columns on a generic inquiry or a regular grid as well, and
Right.
save that so that it's always that way for you personally, and then
Yeah.
admins have a way to override that if they need to. I
Yeah.
think it's a similar concept, right?
Yeah, or saving filters that are personal to you or shared. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the same concepts.
But this is super flexible. I forgot about that part on the left, like controlling every little piece of text that gets shown up in that tiny little square there. That's
Right.
I love that level of
Yep.
flexibility.
Yeah, which I mean, in fairness to them designing this, I mean, this is only one use case. This is field service appointments, but everybody using it might want to see something a little bit differently. Suppose that it's a very local shop. They have no reason to see the city. It's all going to be the same. But suppose you're doing a tri-state area or something. Yeah, it's there's a lot of variance between what you would like to see. So good on them for making that available. There are a couple bugs, like I said, that I encountered. One of them, I actually emailed Acumatica support to report, but Acumatica support does not recognize me as a person, and so and they don't seem to. That's because I don't pay them. I don't.
Right, I know.
I
I just like the way you described it.
for the viewers, for the viewers understanding. I don't pay them any money, and so they don't really recognize that I am anybody. So out of the goodness of my heart, I tried to communicate a bug to them, and it's still not fixed actually. In 26R1 beta, I checked, but that's all right. I'm sure eventually they'll.
Honestly, Daryl, like I don't even think we need to go through the bugs. I'm sure there's stuff.
It's totally fine
because it's a new thing, right? There's going to be stuff. Yeah, I think we can
there will
get
be.
that stuff. I see it on your list though. Here, you want to just read through them? You can read through them, so you mention them.
Yeah. So the one thing is that the first time that you go to the scheduled tab, the tiles like resize. That was not what I was talking about, but it's kind of an annoyance to me. So if you refresh the screen, it'll go back to the unscheduled tab, and when you click on the scheduled tab, then the tiles resize again. It's just a little bit of a visual clutter, you might say.
That unscheduled scheduled tabs on the top, that's also configurable as well, right? Those are just filters, save filters, I assume.
No.
Oh.
No. So this is actually an interesting. Well, let's talk about the second bug.
Okay, sorry, I'll let you get through
this. There's some really interesting UI going on up here when you, depending on what you have selected and how big you have the tile resized here, which again is not that big of a deal. When you refresh the page, it just reloads and it's fine. But a couple little quirks like that. But as far as the tabs go, these are actual tab controls, not tab filters. That's not entirely true. These are tab filters.
Okay.
Now, I think new in 26R1, they have both the filter bar here and the tab filters up here. They do the same thing.
Okay.
So you can see that it changes depending on what you select. I'm not sure why they made that choice. It was just a choice that they made. I do recall seeing in the in the I think it's the grid configuration in the modern UI, you can choose like per grid if you would like to see the tabs as filters or as see the filters as tabs or just as this little drop down thing.
Okay.
On GIs, as far as I've seen, unless they've changed it, which they were getting a lot of complaints about, it is only this way. They only have this one. And so there is no tabs, which does save you like, I don't know, a row and a half worth or something of screen.
Yeah.
But it is much harder to like, you don't necessarily know what tab options you have if you're on a new screen unless you drop it down and you're like, oh, okay. So
Yeah,
I don't
so
know. They might have gotten some pushback on that, and I'm not sure.
Can you show adding a new one? So is it as simple as clicking the filter icon? Let's get a third filter up on the top there so we can see.
Yeah. So the filtering in the modern UI is actually something I really had to get used to. It's not it still throws me for a loop sometimes. But so you pick a field that you want to filter by. So let's say city, because we used that earlier. And then once you have the field picked, you click on it again, and then you actually get to use it. So it's a little redundant. It's very visually clean, but yeah. Anyway, it takes a little getting used to. So let's just say contains brook, and then you can choose to save it if you want.
Yeah, let's save it. See if we can get it up there.
In which case you get this pop up, and then you can either, this is largely the same, you can either share it or default it if you want. And then it just appears up there. And then once you have what you want, you can click the filter again and it collapses again.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, then if you wanna go into like the advanced stuff, you can, this is what threw me the most. On a GI especially is where I saw it the first time. There is no like, oh, pick the bracket or whatever, or the 2 brackets or the 3 brackets. It's all visual now. So if you want to add another condition, you just add one. That's a very redundant filter, but you add a condition and it puts in an and then you can switch it. If you want to, let's see, how do you, forget how you do the parenthesis. Maybe you have to have.
Yeah, I remember seeing a demo, but I don't remember how you actually create it either.
And maybe it's because of the particular kind of filter that it is, or something as well. I'm not sure, but there's also times where you can get parenthesis around what you're doing to create like complex ands or ors, and it kind of like stacks out further, and it's kind of cool
towards the right.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, and I can see that it's probably more usable for somebody who doesn't understand chaining logic quite as much.
Mm-hmm.
But like from what we're used to, it's really different. It's yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I can see that. Very different. And then on the left-hand side, we already talked about this, but let's go ahead and show it. So someone mentioned that the filter bar is available. They say it's available on the left. So maybe they're making a line out of you. Let's try it.
I understand what they're saying, but so basically you can do filters, but it does not change what the That's not quite
Let's
true.
see if we can add a third one. Try adding a third one.
Yeah.
See if we can prove Daryl wrong.
Yeah, it's
Let's see if Daryl can prove Daryl wrong.
So you can add a filter here. The UI becomes a little tricky at some point, but so you can add a filter, but it just shows up as a filter here.
Oh,
I see. The tabs are completely separate. The tabs are actual tab controls, not filter. Not
very interesting.
Over here they're grid filters, but over here they're actual tab controls. So it's,
and again, with this being
a
very new thing, it sure seems like they'll align one way or the other with the left and right at some point.
Yeah. I think there's lots of potential here. This was just one one way that you could go about it, and I kind of modeled it myself in the stuff that I'll show later. But there are some little quirks to it.
Okay. So we
Is
know
there
we got
anything else?
bugs. Do we want to mention any more? We could probably like spend the rest of the time on bugs, or just
Actually not. I mean, there's not a ton. It seems a little unreliable, but as far as like reproducing weird things, it's kind of hard to do. So that could very well be just a configuration thing. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't spend the most time trying to figure it out. But anyway,
okay.
no, we don't have to keep going on bugs.
And we should also note, you're showing this in a 26R1 beta environment as well, right?
True.
Yeah, it's not even
Yes.
production.
Most of all the things I think that I had on that list were also present in 25R2. I just wanted to see if they were fixed in 26R1, and there's still time for that. I don't know if they will be or not, but they're not the biggest.
Is that? I'm checking the release notes here. Was it introduced in 25R2? Was it? Oh yeah, it is.
I think it was.
So yeah, it was brand new in Acumatica 2025R2.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the release notes.
It's not even a year old yet. It's probably 8 months.
Okay, cool. All right, well that's a great overview. Then, all right, are we ready to put on our mining like lamps hats and head into the under the hood?
Yeah, I mean we absolutely can.
So I'll put that up on the screen. This is part 2. So we got a 3-part here. The third part will be some cool stuff that you've built. But part 2 here is go ahead and take it away and talk about this thing on the screen.
Sure. So with the introduction that I made of using npm packages and things that other people have built, rather than building something from scratch, Acumatica chose to lean on a third party called Brintum, which is a company who basically builds scheduling tools. They have a number of them. This particular tool product is called Scheduler Pro. So Brintum Scheduler Pro is what Acumatica is using in the back end of this screen to facilitate a lot of the more complex maneuvers or functions that you can do on the screen.
When you did that thing where you drag the appointment to the other side of an appointment, yeah, there's a lot of JavaScript and stuff that's going on, and that's the piece where Brintum is handling a lot of that stuff.
So basically, their goal is to build a very robust and flexible scheduler, and then people can kind of tap into that for the functionality, the basic functionality, as well as add their own or change the styling, or et cetera, et cetera. So
when you say scheduler, I want to be clear, are you talking about the front end, the way the screen interacts, or are you also talking about a back end way to have it move stuff around for you?
No. So this is all front end, which for people watching, I don't know if there's a clear understanding of front end, back end, but front end is basically the user interface, how it looks and feels, and then the back end is things like the logic that runs, where the data comes from, access rights, that kind of thing. So Brintum is a very front end focused product, or the products they make are very front end focused, and then Acumatica basically plugs Acumatica type things into the back and displays them in a very Acumatica way. Actually, much of this is Acumatica UI, like modern UI look and feel, but the functionality of saying this goes here and therefore triggers that, which all of that logic stuff is kind of handled by the engine, which I'll talk more later about the benefits of building something in a way like this. But basically, Acumatica doesn't have to maintain the all of the logic and work out all the bugs. That's completely handled by a separate company, which there's positives to and drawbacks to. But
yeah, pros and cons for sure.
Yep.
Mark's got a comment. I don't know if I completely get it. Yuck, why are they all different pop-ups instead of a single one? Do you know what he means? Maybe you could say more there, Mark.
Maybe he was talking about the filters, pop-ups.
Yeah, maybe chime in a little further on that one, Mark. And then Stuart's got one. Can you move the staff members to be on top and move the dates to your left? Oh, that's interesting. Kind of flip. Right now it's staff down the left-hand side, dates along across the top.
Yes, I'm going to say yes, although I've never done it. It's Friday the 13th. Why don't we try it?
So if from what you've seen so far, and we can get into this in part 3, like it is potentially configurable, at least in code. Oh, no, not even there. Oh,
so in the service management preferences, you can change it to a different view.
Let's try it. Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Different view mode. And I do know that Brintum itself, because of what I know of the engine, Brintum itself does support that. I didn't realize that Acumatica had a setting for that until it doesn't actually look like it did anything. Until I was poking around in the settings earlier today. Why is it not zooming? There we go. I don't actually know if it made any difference at all.
You sure? Sometimes you have to like right click and
this is actually I could hard refresh.
Yeah.
This from what I understand, this is actually the horizontal layout. So I'm not sure why it would have been on vertical before.
Yeah, flip it back. See what happens. Go back to vertical and see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Unless the setting was just not working out for some.
I saw your map settings in there as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, the API key. Yeah, I'm not seeing.
Try
maybe
that
maybe that's a
so we think we can do it. Yeah, maybe just need a.
I don't know. It might not actually be wired up yet. I'm not sure why the setting would be there if it wasn't. But I mean, I believe that's what this setting is supposed to do. I'm not entirely sure.
I do know that out for it yet. What if you click into the help icon and up here on the settings screen?
Oh, over here. Oh, that's a good idea. Actually,
I'm curious if view mode even has a help thing yet.
If the oh, this one does, but this one doesn't. I can just open the actual.
Stuart thinks it's for the classic UI. Okay. He thinks that setting is for the classic UI that you're playing with.
Okay. So I do know that the Brintum engine does allow you to change the layout.
So we think hopefully that'll happen,
yeah, I mean, whether or not they choose to enable that is probably their call, but
and it looks like Mark's comment was just about the filtering. Yeah, I think that just speaks to getting used to this new way of filtering, and maybe there's something we're missing, but it's definitely very different than it was before.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so back to Brintum. Yeah, so with the, well, let me just show you their site. So I had drilled down into one particular example.
I'm also dropping it on the screen there. Yep, Brintum.com.
This is their site, which, yeah, it's very clean. I think they're a relatively mature company, but pretty agile from what I have gathered. I reached out about licensing to them, and the CEO responded. So they're very like forward facing, pretty I enjoy interacting with them. And they have a whole page of examples. Let me take away my filter. They have 165 JavaScript examples of different use cases, different functions.
Two times zoom on that. See if we still get 3 columns. That's still good. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. So basically, they have all kinds of use cases that they have developed to showcase different options or different functions that you can do For instance, skill matching is something that the calendar board does do, I believe. I don't know how it works. I have not messed with it, but I believe you can set up skills and then get warnings or some kind of validation if a staff member has, does not have a particular skill that this particular appointment needs, etc. There was a couple that I thought were really cool. This one you can do nested events. So basically you have, let me see if I can go a little further. See if I can find that one or this one. No, yeah, this one's good. So basically the part here with the cross hatching is a larger element that is containing both of these blue elements. So you can like allocate a certain amount of time, say, or whatever, and then drop other elements inside of it, which I thought was really cool. Let's see. Another one is,
reminds me of an ERP implementation project plan with like a
that's a good example. This one allows you to build dependencies, which I'll show more a little bit later. But basically, you can connect events together that says this must happen after this. So obviously, you can't unload until you've arrived, and you can't load again until you've unloaded. And so you can like chain these together across resources. So if I'm reading this right, truck 2 arrives, unloads, and then the load is reloaded onto train 2. And so you can like chain things together. And then the way it works is, say this truck, I don't know, encounters an ice storm or something and isn't going to get there till 9 o'clock. You can drag this arrive event all the way out to 9 o'clock, and then the rest of these just follow after. So these are all pushed out. Yeah, it's very cool.
I can see this being utilized definitely in manufacturing, and I'm going to look for, as you're continuing to show stuff, see if I can find some screenshots maybe of that. And then also I'm thinking like in a construction scenario, this would be super useful. So we're already starting to see what you're seeing here, that this is not just a field service screen. It's a tool that they're going to end up using in multiple places.
Right. Yep. So you can group resources by a particular, I don't know, just an arbitrary value, and then collapse them, which I can show later. A lot of these are things Acumatica has not done yet, but is on the table, and some of these are things that I have done myself. So
when I see that arbitrary value, I'm thinking at some point maybe even be able to group on a user-defined field or something.
Possibly.
Yeah, interesting.
Skill matching we covered. Nested events. Okay, this one's kind of cool. Very, I would say, pretty specific. Oh, not event buffer. Yeah. Oh, it's called something else. Yeah. Okay. So this one actually I think would make sense on the fields calendar board, which is these little gray things that stick out. You can configure travel time. It's called an event buffer, but in this case, it's used for travel time. I think you could also use it for like manufacturing, like work center cooldown time, or whatever they call that, like the readying process, or the after you're finished process. So you can like define how much time needs to be blocked out, and then it'll basically give you these visual indicators of you can't schedule anything in this time because it's it's being used. It's just not the actual event or whatever. So I thought that was kind of cool. That is most of the things that I picked out as being pretty pretty cool and like real world useful stuff.
So this is super helpful. Yeah, we're not saying all this is in Acumatica, but we're giving people an idea of what.
Correct. Very few of these are. The skill matching
Cool.
is, which again I don't really know much about. The other stuff that I mentioned so far is not. The skill matching and the multi resource. I don't think I displayed that, but that's it's on the calendar board where you can have multiple people doing the same thing. Is there any? I mean, we can actually open these and use them. Are there any of these that you would actually like to see, like used?
The last one you had up seemed good to me, like with the travel time buffer. I like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, cool. So you can actually on their website interact with it.
Yeah, these are like interactive
Oh.
things. I don't know how to use them all, but
like you think you can drag
if I
something
remember
around?
right,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
cool.
So if I remember right, you can edit this and say, yeah, okay. So the drive to, you can change and say, oh, this is an hour and whatever, and then it basically.
And you could also drag it to the right, just like you did. And
yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I'm not sure if it prevents you from. Oh, that's not going to fit, obviously. Yeah. So I don't think you can overlap these. You can probably get close, and you're fine. But if you overlap them, it won't actually let you do that, because they're and like over here, the regular tile would fit, but you have drive time, and so it won't let you do that because it's taking up too much time.
Because he starts at 7 a.m. and yeah, okay. Oh, I like that.
Yep. That one is a fairly simplistic example.
Here's a comment from the information. So it looks like there was a field service session at Summit. Looks like they're already looking into using some of these things. Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but that sounds cool. There's a lot of stuff. I'm sure they didn't go like full bore on the screen at first because they wanted to see what kind of reception they would get. But I'm sure that more of the stuff will come out, and you will notice that all of this stuff has unique styling. So like these are just ugly blue blocks. These are like really classy rounded stuff. Thanks, Corey.
You were missed, Daryl.
So yeah, there's a lot. There's a huge potential here for pretty much anything that you want to build that involves scheduling. Is there anything else that you want to see or have questions about on that front?
No, I think you gave us great resources. People could come on here and play with stuff on their own. Yeah, do you want to hit the stuff that you've been playing with?
Sure, yeah. Let me make sure that my screens are actually going to load. It's been almost
so you mentioned, as we transition to stuff that Daryl has built, or we should say, maybe I should change the title of this. Hold on, let me change it. Prototypes, Daryl prototype stuff.
Yeah, we need to make the disclaimer that the stuff that I built is definitely not like real world production worthy. As I mean, there's one company testing one of the things that I've built. They're not actually doing really well at providing me feedback. I think they're kind of busy. But the other ones that I have going on have not been even robustly tested necessarily. I'm very much in like the development phase at this point. So
these are definitely prototypes, but I'm curious, like how much of it is, you mentioned you reached out to Brentum, and how much of it is just like, how can I get some of this stuff from Brentum into Acumatica? And then how much of it is, hey, I want to do something that Brentum doesn't even do, and it's more like back end stuff. When I say back end, I mean stuff that you would do with the data or something like that.
No, so actually the reason I reached out to them was because I have a contact inside of Acumatica that I I asked this question. So like I said, with the NPM packages, Acumatica controls what you're allowed to use. But because Acumatica uses this package, it's obviously available. And so it's available for everyone to use. So they ship it along with their core product. It's there. I can use it. But the agreement, the end user agreement from Brintum is that developers who touch the code need to be licensed. And so I'm sure that I probably could have gotten away with it for a while, just using it unlicensed. But because it's not an enabled or disabled thing. The license has no control over what I'm allowed to use because it's part of Acumatica. But I contacted them to make sure that that was the case, and they said yes. If you're going to develop something on this that is not Acumatica developers doing it, you need to be licensed as well, technically. And so we negotiated some licensing costs, etc. But they're very friendly and pretty fair, I believe. Okay, so this is loading now.
Oh, cool. You actually went through that process.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. So even though you're showing prototype, like you are an official Brintum, a certified, not or whatever developer, sanctioned, allowed to be doing this stuff here. Okay, cool.
Correct. Yeah. So let me just give some background. So I said I was asked to build a screen like this for deliveries. They wanted to deliver sales orders, and the reason they wanted to deliver sales orders is because they manufacture products that are, like, I think it's a fairly small window between the amount of time that they are manufactured. So they manufacture them and then they deliver them. And apparently it's difficult to create shipments for products until you've actually manufactured the materials. And so they wanted to schedule sales orders, and then the shipment is kind of an add-on thing that's connected, but it's not dependent upon the shipment. And so they had a pretty specific request that they want. But anyway,
okay.
So I built that. I built that for them, and then I showed it to somebody else just as like a, hey, cool, look what I'm doing. And they were like, ooh, I want that, but I don't want to schedule sales orders. I want to schedule cases. I want to schedule cases on my employees, like a caseload. And I was like, oh, that should work, right? And so
can I ask them that first one on the sales order one, you did that with the modern calendar board?
Yes, it looks very much the same. The code behind is different for intellectual property.
It's that same tech that we were just showing. Yeah, okay.
Yes, yep, exactly. And so I sat down to think about this, and I thought, well, I'm 12 or 15 hours or whatever into this deliveries project, and already there's things that I would do differently if I was going to completely rewrite it, but I'm not, and so then I'm thinking, okay, so I build this for one customer and then another customer wants it. And so I realized, well, I should have done that differently. And so I rebuild from scratch, but I learn from my mistakes and I build a better thing. And then suppose I get 2 more customers, and it goes on from there. But then the first customer says, hey, we want this changed to do something else. And so I go back and I have in my mind, well, this is how it works, but back then that's not how it worked. And so now you're dealing with 4 versions of code for entirely different use cases. And so I was thinking, like, man, there should really be a way that it it could be flexible. But the problem with making something flexible is usually in order to make it flexible, you have to make it pretty generic. And if you make it pretty generic, oftentimes it really doesn't solve anyone's use case because it's just kind of a blob, And so as I was thinking about it, I came up with sort of a similar pattern to what Acumatica has done, which is create a very flexible backend that handles a lot of the decisions about how the very basics of it work. So for all these use cases, the very most basic understanding or function is you have things on the left that need to be scheduled, and you have things on the right that or things in the middle that you can schedule them on, and then the things on the right are the scheduled things, right? And you might have pop-ups when you click on a tile, and you might have for instance, you could see, well, you can't really see, but if you switch over here, sorry, over here you can see that I chose to implement my tiles to look like this, so they have sort of a colored border
So
on
this
the
is
left.
your custom screen that you're showing here.
Correct. It looks
Okay.
very much the same, but let me zoom in a little bit. It'll look more the same. So this is my take on it. So all of this stuff, all of the headers, the tiles, all of this stuff can be completely changed to be however you would like to see it. But this is how I chose to to implement it on the back end. So basically all of the versions that I have here, and I have 3 right now, have the same sort of look and feel. It's a panel on the left, just like Acumatica. You got the scheduled, the unscheduled. Something I added because it was a request and I thought it made sense was this header in the middle, which indicates what these things are. Acumatica, in Acumatica's version, this is just all one bar. And it does technically do both. So I didn't actually realize this, but earlier today I realized that you can actually create filters on this section that are connected to these guys. So East employees is where these guys are, based or whatever, and it's all part of the same area. I don't think it makes necessarily the most logical sense. But I mean, it's not real far off. I think the main reason they did it is because it's slightly less visual gymnastics. Because if on my version you create a filter here, you can very quickly have like this part of the screen ends visually right here.
Yeah.
Obviously. And so at some point it starts to scroll behind here, which isn't the worst, but it's a little more visual clutter. And so I'm guessing that that's maybe an intentional decision, maybe not, I'm not sure. But I split this out. So you can filter employees here, and you can filter whatever your events are based on over here. So in this
Does going
case,
to
you'll
3
see
columns change anything with the resizing between column 2 and column 3? Or can you do that in the regular one as well?
Are you saying here?
Yeah, that part.
So this, again, this is a little bit visually deceiving. This right here is the Brentum calendar. And so I don't have a ton of control over, like, ideally, probably if you were going to do this, you would have a completely separate pane, just like this one, that you can collapse and resize, etc. for right here. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's a lot trickier because this is its own thing. So they have their own
I'm not saying it's
pane.
needed.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I don't think, so really all you did was add the filter on the top. That's really all that's different. Okay.
Correct. This particular filter filters these particular things, and then this is a completely separate thing. So by default, it's resized to look very, very much the same, but it is different. You can collapse this, and this stays up here. Anyway, I just realized today that Acumatica does have an answer for filtering on these guys. It's just baked into this whole thing over here.
Okay.
That was kind of a rabbit trail. Oh, the one thing. Well, let me go back to the sort of the concept behind it. So basically, what I built was the back end to all of this stuff, which is very similar across different use cases. So this one that I built is work center scheduling. This is the newest one. It's very raw, but just as a proof of concept, I wanted to build it. And so across all of these, it's a very similar thing. You're scheduling something on someone, and then you have the scheduled things over here. You can search the ones you've already scheduled. And so it's all very cohesive idea, but the actual use case of it is entirely different. For instance, you might want to say that you might not have, so these are ship dias. It's called carriers, but these are just raw Acumatica ship dias, which is why they have UPS and FedEx in here. I don't actually schedule things on their trucks, but if you were doing this, you might want to say, well, the sales order doesn't have a ship via until scheduling time, right? And then the act of me dragging this over here and putting it on a truck is, in the back end, that should assign the ship via on the document of record, right? But over here, well, in a similar case, you might want to say, well, the owner on the case should be assigned when I drag it over here, right?
Yeah.
And so there's similar concepts, but different stuff happening. And so in order to build something that works flexibly for very different use cases, you can see that this one has completely different coloring on these, and it actually, need to refresh. It actually matches in this case, the coloring on the left-hand side actually matches the status of the case. I came up with my own statuses because their case highlight or their status highlights are really lame. But so you can see at a glance what the status is. In this particular case, you can also see it in the top right. But if I wanted to take that away, I could.
Is that color thing that only your tool does? That the out-of-the-box calendar doesn't do that currently?
So they do coloring. It's different coloring. So I forget what exactly their coloring is. I think this cross-hatching is just like a not.
But you can't. I was just curious if it was there at all. It looks like it's there.
It's here. Yeah, they have it here. They did it differently, which is it's totally an option. I could even go further and say, well, I don't actually want, on this particular use case, I don't want it to look this way. I want it to look completely different. It's just a very easy way to get it to look like this is basically what I came up with. You can choose whether or not you want it to have pop-ups. And so for these, I have a similar pop-up to Acumatica, but over here, I didn't actually configure the pop-ups. Nothing happens if you click on it. One very cool thing that I'm proud of is that when you mouse over a tile on the left, it gives a little shimmy. Do you see that?
So the regular one doesn't do that, huh?
No, it doesn't.
You get this like the Steph Curry effect on software development.
Right, exactly. So there's one other thing that does actually really bother me about the old the old board, or the calendar board. It's not old. Is the day, week, month view is like hugely unhelpful in my opinion. Now I did find, I think I found that in this settings view you can actually change. I think that's what this is doing. As far as I could tell, it is. We don't
know if it affects the modern UI or just the classic UI. Yeah.
Well, that's true. Actually, that's a good point. It seemed to, but I'm not positive.
Well, because that was the point that was made earlier, right? That the view mode of vertical, horizontal.
The view mode, yes. Yeah. But these things down here, yeah, I don't know what all they wired up, to be honest. Okay. And I'm not sure if that was even the goal. But regardless of this day, week, month thing is very unhelpful. So if you're used to Outlook calendars and how they display stuff, you would probably think of the month view as like a grid with like a 5x4 or whatever, or 7x4. It's not. This is largely just allowing you to go further, but you'll notice that the days are still like half the screen size here.
Oh,
there's really not much benefit, especially between the week and the month. In fact, I'm not certain there's any difference at all. And so as I was playing around with it, I realized that that's not actually the most difficult to fix. And so my view works more like this. This is a week, which is still pretty large. We're zoomed in a little bit, but the month view is more like this. And so the tiles now show up as tiny little slivers, and this is a whole, what is this, 2 weeks? This is a whole 2 weeks that's fit in here. And so one of the problems with that is, well, what actual real world use is that now? Because I can't even see what these tiles are, which, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what the real world usefulness would be. Maybe just to get a really quick glance at how busy your month is or something. But
I think
in order to,
when your projects are multi-day in nature, right? Yeah, the zoom level. Yeah, no,
possibly if you're doing but the thing that I have improved on is that if you if you click on a tile that is very tiny, it will expand to actually give you the information that you need. And this works at all zoom levels. So even on the old calendar, I gotta stop saying that. Even on the regular calendar board, you really can't see everything that's in here, which I do get is the point of the pop-up, but sometimes you might just want to see, what the tile says. So which one were we on?
You've really gotten into the details on this. This is really interesting.
There we go. So the other cool thing is, since we're on the month view now, this actually can be a really easy way to navigate between like several weeks worth. So say you're scheduling approximately 2 weeks for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe you're a doctor's office or something. You can actually click on the header of a day, and it'll drop you back into the day view for that particular day.
Okay.
Which is something that I think Acumatica should consider implementing, because it would be very useful. And then, like I said, wherever my scheduled items are, if the tile is very small for whatever reason, and you can't actually really see anything, if you click on it, it just shows you what the whole thing is there, and gives you a little bit of a peek. The one thing I don't have yet, and I would really like to, because there's a lot of this stuff that could be packed into settings, I would like to have a configuration screen where you can control a lot of this stuff. For instance, Brinto makes it very easy for you to say, well, I want these hour blocks to be like 4 times as big, because I don't know why. Maybe I'm have really poor eyesight or something. And so you can basically just adjust them, and everything is dynamic. Everything is just recorded preferences, basically. And so you can completely change how large the spaces are, which would obviously affect how large the tiles display in relation to the amount of time that they take up. So there's a lot of settings that you could put in somewhere. I don't have any settings screen anywhere. A lot of it's just kind of hard-coded stuff, but or settings in the background in the code. But I want to do that. It's on the list to do.
Let me then. So you showed multiple tabs, even like a mock-up of a work center one. And by the way, can you pull that work center one up again? I just want to mention this. Here's something that was shown super blurry, but it was shown during one of the keynotes last week that, as expected, so per what we've already talked about in the manufacturing area, they've already got stuff they're working on to introduce this same calendar board in the manufacturing area for scheduling work orders. But you've already got a prototype of it in your environment. And so with these different tabs that you have open, are they different screen IDs? And then that's one question. Then second question is, when you talked about making it generic, is that more to make it easier for you as a coder to fire up something new, or can me as a user fire up a new version of this?
No, it's not quite that flexible.
So,
no,
so
it's mostly for me.
From a coding standpoint, it allows you to spin up new scenarios much easier.
Correct. Yeah, okay. I tried to sort of articulate the reasoning behind it, which I did get into a little bit earlier. But basically, it makes it flexible enough that the same a very similar idea can take a completely different form very quickly. So 85% of the code that is actually running this is not being changed across these different things.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
It's only like a little layer on the top that basically plugs into the background in much the same way that Acumatica works, in other areas.
And so for that remaining like 15% that you left because of your comment earlier about not wanting to have a total generic blob, like you needed.
Right, exactly.
why?
So it's a very flexible and open base, and then you can plug in very specific, very concrete and rigid applications on top of it and say, this is how this must work. It looks exactly this way. It updates these fields when you do this. You can add buttons that do
cool.
things. For instance, on the delivery side, if you were scheduling sales orders, I don't have a proof of concept, but just conceptually, if you wanted to, you could have dragging a sales order to a particular place, create a shipment, or whatever you wanted to do, as long as Acumatica. I mean,
So that same sort of action you were talking about, like a write back of writing back the ship via, could also write back the actual creation of a new record.
Yeah, it can pretty much do anything that Acumatica would support. So obviously, if you're doing something really complex where you have to pick a bunch of required fields or something, that's going to create a lot of issues. But if you have things configured correctly, or however you could make it potentially do whatever you wanted it to do.
Interesting. Yeah, so I can totally see your I'm understanding better your comments earlier about that trade-off and that fine line that you walk between generic blob but not wanting to have to code every new instance from scratch. And you've sort of found a nice balance there. I like that. Okay.
Right. The other thing that it does is, for people, I realize that something like this largely probably does not make sense to spend whatever on something like this, but for the people that it does, it's significantly less expensive to build the little layer on top than it is to build an entire screen, and then whoever you have maintaining it also has to keep that in mind. And so it's a lower cost. It's less expensive for people who did want to go down this route.
Yeah, so you're really positioning yourself as like the calendar board ninja here, right? Where we're in this modern new UI, and like, hey, I think that's what you're doing here, and I think you've done a good job. Like, if I was looking at the calendar board and I'm like, hey, I like it and I want to make some tweaks to it, but I don't want to have to understand this whole stack myself, I think you're the perfect person to reach out to. And you've even gone as far as to developing your own IP to allow you to develop that faster without so that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Acumatica this is something very new for them, and they're obviously still, like, they have not marked their territory yet, and so I'm sure that I'm encroaching on their territory, and I'm sure that anything that I build, they'll come after and do even better. So
and
there's that to consider. Right, exactly. Well, I mean, I kind of
have to wait for the next version.
Originally,
it's got to go through this QA. Yeah, I mean, there's always a time delay, right? Yeah.
The main thing I think that something like this proves as a concept, and also in reality, is that I am probably, my developing style is much more fluid than theirs is, and so that comes with pros and cons. But if you want something in a very
tell me more what you mean by fluid.
Well, so they have to go through however much QA process. They have to go through all the planning. They have to go, like, they have miles of red tape that they have to and they should. That's the nature of a large company that lots of people are depending on. But if somebody wanted something very specific, we want it to work this way, even the calendar board as it is if you wanted to do something very similar, but you wanted your own, for whatever reason, you wanted this or that, it's possible you could customize the calendar board to do that. There's a level of customizability to the screen, just like anything else, but there is a limit. And so if you want something really specific, it would pretty much have to be custom.
Yeah.
And this basically significantly lowers the bar for doing something custom like that.
No, I love it. And that's why I think what you really just did here is you really positioned yourself as the calendar board ninja in the modern UI. And for me personally, I don't know that I really look at it as a product, because it's going to be something that's still always evolving, even though you've basically developed a product here. But really, I look at it more as you're just someone who knows how to make this thing work in all sorts of crazy situations, right? And you're just keeping up on what Acumatica is doing versus what what was it again? Brentum. Sorry, what Brentum's doing, and then also your other piece that you're doing to make further development easier, and all those moving parts. You're just sort of the glue that holds that together. So I like that.
That's the idea. Yeah. If all of you out there could buy some of my products, then I would have money to continue doing that.
And where would people go to do that? If they're email or what should I put up on the screen here for that? Website, email?
No, don't put my email on the public web. They can find me on LinkedIn or on my website. My website, deftstrokesdev.com.
Here, let me get that pulled up in a second. Let me pull that up here.
There is a component to this that is honestly just a lot of fun to build something like this, and so I have to be careful.
Yeah, there's a learning part of it, right? Professional development kind of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have to be careful not to overextend myself, and I have to actually develop things that makes money. So
yeah, every consultant battles that for sure. There's your website right there. So yeah, anyone interested in like this calendar board and it's just not quite meeting your need out of the box and you need to reach out to an expert, for sure. I think probably the easiest way to engage you, Daryl, is just on an hourly basis, right? You could work out something where even just as a consultative, maybe you don't even code anything, but you're just like, you look at it to be like, oh, you might be able to tweak it without any code versus this is going to need code. Just from a assessment standpoint, you could probably offer that service. Is that
yeah,
correct?
I mean, my day job, are you saying specifically for the calendar board?
Yeah, like if someone looks at the calendar board as is, and then they look at all the stuff that you just showed today, and they're like, oh, I could really use, this would be hugely useful. And you could probably just offer like an assessment service, like a consultation, something like just a 1 hour consultation, come up with a fee for that. That's probably something you'd be able to provide, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I have a limited amount of experience in field service, so probably do not contact me to ask me how to configure the calendar board, because I really honestly don't know that much. I mean, I've learned some things, but I'm not a field service person. But as far as the functionality or even customizing the calendar board itself, I have done a little bit of that. Like I said, there are limitations, but you can do some customization, adding custom fields to be displayed on the tiles or on the, whatever. So
let's circle back on those use cases. So out of the box right now, field service, scheduling technicians to go do stuff. We've talked about something Acumatica is also working on, but scheduling like production centers in a manufacturing environment. You showed the example of scheduling sales orders to be shipped before you actually create shipment records. I love that one.
Right. Or shipments. I mean, you could make the use case. So let me just talk a little bit more. Basically, the power of the back end is that I can replace any of the data sources with a use case. So this particular use case uses sales orders on this pane and ship vias on this, as the resource. And then the scheduled thing is a sales order. this particular use case uses cases on this pane and employees on this as the resource. This one uses production operations as the on the left pane and has the operation or the work centers as the resource, but any of that can be replaced. So you could have appointments, you could have like activity not tasks, but Acumatica activity appointments over here that you're scheduling on, I don't know, employees, I guess. You could have shipments instead of sales orders because you actually want to schedule shipments. You could have, I don't know, if you wanted to schedule like warehouse picking or like dock schedules for unloading trucks, or like the possibilities are endless. Basically the what would work, what would be a really good candidate for a use case is something that has a clear resource, which is what you're scheduling on, a person, a truck, a location, you know, and then the actual event, which is the thing that you're scheduling, needs to have like a pretty clear start and end time, or just a day. So right now it's all like hour slots here, but this can be completely changed. You could display like a 4-hour slot or just a day. You could have just one whole day and say this stuff is going to get done today, but I don't care when. So there's all kinds of nuances of things that you can do by just replacing where the data is coming from is essentially the crux of what this does.
And that's what I was thinking. So like, yeah, you've definitely nailed the tech to do it. Then I was just trying to think of, what are some other use cases? What about if I go back to, when you were showing, you can have something that has like requirements, so they all drag together. That started to look like
let me actually demo that, because I actually have that working. This work center thing is very raw. and even as I don't know very much about manufacturing and how manufacturing is done, but I was thinking I believe as an operation on a production order, you already have like the machine runtime that you're expecting. You have the warm up and cool down. You have the list, the sequence of operations that are supposed to happen. So as a plan for this screen, the one thing that my screen does not do yet is group particular entities under a parent. So if there was multiple appointment needs under this service order, they would show up in multiple rows, which is not something I implemented yet, but I would like to, because in this situation, it would make lots of sense. You would have a parent production order, and then the operations, instead of each of these being an operation, you would have these listed as little rows underneath here. And you could basically drag the entire production order and schedule it, and all of the operations would fall into place after that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that's what you showed on the Brentum website, but it's just not something that's in Acumatica first, but totally doable.
Yeah. So each of these already is assigned a work center, and I'm not sure if these can be changed or not. These might just be defaults, I'm not sure. But either way, they already have a place to go. I think they already have like basically a time frame that they would consume, and in what order they go in. And so theoretically, you could just drag a whole production order onto the page somewhere at a particular time slot, and it would arrange all of them in the correct sequence for the amount of time that they are supposed to take up. But then an example of the dependency chain, I gotta refresh. Like I said, I didn't implement that. None of that is functional at this time. But just as an example, you can create dependencies between events.
Oh, cool.
So basically you just connect them here like this, and then say you want to, oh, this got bumped out for some reason, all the rest of them
Oh, very
follow
cool.
after. And so,
Yeah.
and you can also, like, this is not something I have configured yet, but you can set like this little thing is very tricky to click on. You can set this is just the default Brintum editor, which I don't like. I would want to make that Acumatica looking, but you can set like a lag. So you can say, well, it needs to be 2 hours afterwards, or or you could even possibly implement the travel time thing that we saw, which is like, this is the cooldown time. I know that I have this much cooldown time and this much warm up time. So maybe that could overlap, or maybe it wouldn't be allowed to overlap. But there's lots and lots of logic that you could use to create stuff like this. Yeah, that's all up here right now.
But yeah, it seems very doable. And yeah, back to that like ERP implementation use case I was thinking of. Like, to me, there's a perfect one. I was just trying to think of other use cases, right? So to me, that would be, I'm going to schedule, maybe an employee would be in the far left-hand side. I'm going to schedule it on a project task. That'd be the thing in the middle. And or maybe actually it'd be task. So task might be the thing on the far left. If you use generic Acumatica tasks and then schedule those on a employee. Yeah, lots of ways to go about it. And that's why I like how you made it 85% generic, where all these scenarios are totally doable in the approach that you took.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing that we didn't really touch on is like construction projects, or like subcontractors, where you know that you have in like a building situation, you know, we have to get the concrete in before we put the foundation in, before we can lay the footers, or I don't even know all the terms, but basically there's a sequence of events where these must be separate, and then some of these can overlap, and then, you know, and so there's a lot of there's a huge world of possibilities. But yeah,
and I know, like, development, you know, developer mindset wise, it's like, hey, hand me the spec and I know I can make it happen, and I'm just trying to put a little of my mental muscle into thinking, what are those good broad use cases? Can't come up with others on the fly, but I agree with you. I think construction area has a ton of potential uses here. I mean, whether it's machinery, the concrete truck, whatever those assets are that you manage that have limitations, they can't be in two places at once. This approach would allow you to do that. And really, where I'm starting to think with the whole construction side is, that's a big part of project management in the construction side. And Acumatica has always been weak in the project management area. They're good in the project accounting area. But yeah, I think this approach could really fill a lot of those gaps in the construction project management area. It's really interesting. It's like a smart sheet. It's like a smart sheet inside of Acumatica, essentially. Interesting. Well, hey,
I love a lot more. I mean, I can answer questions or whatever, but I don't have a lot more to show. This was pretty much most of what I prepared.
Anything, drop it in the chat. But I really appreciate you taking big chunk of time to walk through. You're way more into it than I thought. I thought this was going to be, I know there's definitely a tinkering element to this, and I know we're calling it a prototype, but you're way ahead of most of the world here. So yeah, this was impressive. I like this.
Thank you.
I'll put that up on the screen one more time there. Give people maybe another minute to chime in the chat with anything else, questions, thanks, whatever. But I really appreciate you had a whole, we never pulled this up, but you had a whole outline here that you had come up with. I got it on my other monitor and you went through all that. So again, really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
So deathstrokesdev.com for anyone looking for a calendar board ninja in the modern UI.
Maybe I'll put that in my LinkedIn.
Well, awesome.
Cool. Well, this was fun. I appreciate you hosting me.
Well,
And the chance to
hopefully,
show up.
I definitely didn't fall asleep. Hopefully, I didn't make others fall asleep, but I definitely enjoyed it. Again, I'd really been wanting to ever since I saw Mik C demo the calendar board. I had really wanted to be able to talk to someone who could put those generic glasses on and not just look at it through the lens of field service. And you totally did that the last hour and a half. So I loved it.
Great.
Really appreciate it. Well, I guess we'll close it out here. And actually, Daryl, if you wouldn't mind, just stay on. It'll be like a little outro, and then we could pop back on and just chat about how we thought things went. But otherwise, for everyone else, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Okay.